Hi, I'm Jill from KiteCo, and I'm excited to be part of the Sew Marathon today for the Tuesday tote. This pattern is by Knotted Threads, and it's a gorgeous, simple, basic pattern, but it's so versatile. And she does have some add-ons if you're looking to advance it with a divider and all sorts of interesting things. So if this is the first time you've been to my channel, please do consider subscribing if you like what you see. So let's look at my version of the Tuesday tote. I have shortened it slightly because I just needed to use this vinyl. I don't know if you love it. I do. It's from Made Fabric Designs in Australia. I think it's gorgeous, but I had a limited supply. On the back, I've put a zipper overlay. I'm just loving these check zips, and these are all available on my website, but I've tried to match that up with a striped zipper pocket inside. And inside, I have done a zipper pocket and a phone slip pocket. So this pattern, as I said, is so versatile. You can do so much. It's such a quick sew, but you could make it as simple or complicated as you like, depending on what you choose to do with it. Now, there is people who have sewn this before me and some after in this series. So look down below for the links of the other videos, because I'm sure you'll be surprised at how people change up this pattern. Let's get on and sew it now. So I've got my two zipper overlay pockets. I've got one that's going on the outside and one on the inside. I'll put those aside for now. I've got my lining, which is cut to the pieces in the pattern, and that is a waterproof. And these are my pieces for my exterior. I've got this blue, which I have interfaced and put fleece because it's got quite a stretch, this vinyl. And again here I've interfaced and fleece. Now these are a little bit shorter because I had a limited amount of this vinyl, but I had to use it. I just love it. This is from Made in Australia. So the first thing I'm going to do is put my tag on. But I also have my straps all ready to make. But I also have my straps all done. Now I've put a very thin webbing over the top of this nylon webbing because I think that kind of looks cute. But neither of them were thick enough, but together they are going to be perfect. So let's have a look at our logo. Now I have kind of cut this. No, the clouds are at the top. I think it can go anyway, but I want the tree to be up the right way. Yes, I do. So the trees are going to be up the right way. Oh, this is so cute. Right, so I've kind of cut it at the same level. Where do I want to put my tag? Obviously, I want to put it in the middle. Give that a bit of a fold. Yep, I can see that line. And I think I'm going to go maybe... I don't want to be too close to the bottom. About there. Make sure that's level. I'm not going to bother putting Decaville on the back because I've got interfacing and fleece. I think that will be fine. I normally definitely put a little strip of Decaville on the back of all my tags. Maybe I will. I know I'm over the top when it comes to this, but I'd hate it to pull a hole in the vinyl if it got caught on something. Wouldn't that be awful? Should have punched the holes before I put the glue on so I wouldn't get glue all over my fingers. But that would be the practical way of doing things, wouldn't it? Yep, that's straight. And I've got some of my black electrician's fabric tape that I put over the back of everything. Step one. So what I'm also going to do before we start construction is put the zipper overlay pocket on the back. So this is my overlay, that's my pocket. So I'm going to put some 3mm double-sided tape on the back. Struggling to get this. This is Express double-sided tape, which is absolutely brilliant. I must contact them. I'm hoping to become an agent for them, so I must get back in touch now that my website's up and running. Used to be able to get it everywhere, but not anymore. Right. So how far down do we want it? I'm picking probably at least there because we're going to be turning that over. So let's go line my middle up. Let's go 1 3/4 inches down, shall we? Just double check that's right. Okay, that is level. So that is my zipper overlay all on. So now I'm going to stitch around the very outside. Get my machines on. What have I got my stitch on? I always forget to check my stitch length. I'm just going to back stitch over that. I think that's going to be okay. That's all done. So what we're going to do now is cut the middle out of that. Very carefully not to cut our overlay. Got quite close to that with the tape, which is not what I wanted. It's a beautiful summer's day here in New Zealand. I decided I was going to start recording early because it's going to get really hot. And if any of you do videos, you know that these lights can be fairly warm without the temperature of the day being in here as well. I might just cut the very top off my foam as well, so there's not a big step down, or my fleece. That's most of the fleece gone around from the edge. I've got a goal this year to keep everything tidy when I sew. I wonder how long that will last. And I just missed my rubbish bin. There you go. So this vinyl isn't too thick, but it's just nice to have a clean edge on it. Okay, so that's our back panel done. Now we'll take our zip and our, the stripes match. Look at that. But there's no way I'm going to be able to, it doesn't matter because the pocket is inside. So with a zipper pocket, this always gets me, we are doing it the right side up. So we're just going to sew down there. I'm going to leave the blue cotton on, it's not going to matter. And I am not a fan of changing cotton. Should loosen my tension off a bit for doing cotton. And again, on the right way, line up our fabric underneath. I thought I'd melted that, maybe I didn't. Let's give that a bit of a press back. Now you can either put double-sided tape on here, but it's actually just as easy to sew down the edge, and it doesn't matter if you've got a different colour cotton, it just looks nice inside. Might just go across that, keep that shut. So inside you will see that stitching, but that's okay. Right, so that's our zipper pocket. Now I'm going to put some 3mm. Here it is. Here it is. Just down the sides of each. I always come to the edge, but actually I don't need to, I don't want to. I want to keep it in a little bit because I'm going to take that off later. Now I want my zip closing to the right and opening to the left, so I've got my zipper pull on the left. We're going to line that up in the middle. I get my fingers on there so I can feel it. Line up so that it's approximately in the middle of the okay. Take the other side off. And press that down. So now we're going to sew around there, around the middle, again at about a 3mm or fairly close to that edge. I'm going to double back over that. Now I tend to use my L here because I find my zips do tend to slip around a little bit at times. One half more. Got my needle set it up, which I should have it down. So that's our pocket from the outside, and that's it from the inside. So now we want to fold down the top trim along there. Now we simply want to pull that back so we can stitch down there, along there, and up there. You can trim any overhang you've got on your zipper if you wish to, or you can just leave it there. But if you do trim it, please melt the end of it. So that is our zipper pocket, like that. So now we want to take our bottom and the bottom of that and line those up together. And sew down there at the amount specified in the pattern. Then she has us lift that up that way so that the seam is up towards the top. I can get that right. I want my pocket out the way. So most So that is our back. I should put that aside and get our front. I'm going to do the same. Line up the bottom with the bottom of that. And again, sew down that seam with the same seam allowance. Leave that facing upwards so that our seam is up. And again, top stitch along there. Like that. Got our front and our back. So now we want to take our straps. Make sure the ends are well melted if you're using a webbing. Now we do have a measurement in the pattern of how far they need to come in, which makes it very easy. And we also want to overhang it by 1/2 inch there. Make sure there's no twists in your strap. I've done that before. And we've got that much. And I usually eyeball these things, but I've decided I'm going to try and make a whole pattern exactly as it should be. Don't laugh. I know, it's a foreign concept for many of us. And we'll just baste those in place. Yep, I think I want the check on the outside. I like that. In the back. As you can see, I was stretching to get this out of this fabric, but I was determined to do it, so it's even got a bit of the selvage on there. It's okay, it's in the seam allowance. So that's our straps and that's our exterior. So now we want to sit those right sides together. Line up our bottom edge. And sew along there at the measurement in the pattern. And again, we're tidying up. So now we want to butterfly this seam. So tip it over that way and push it out like that. So it's out flat. Turn it over while you're holding it. Run your hand along underneath and make sure it's open. And then we're wanting to top stitch down either side of that seam, making sure it stays open. Just go across the bottom. It's not my straightest butterfly, but I just love a butterflied zip. Okay, so now we're going to sew down each side. So just clip, make sure our seam there lines up. And if we've done our seam allowances correctly, it should. And at the top. And we're going to sew down each of those at the amount specified in the pattern. Don't forget to switch your stitching back from your top stitch. So now we want to get our hand inside our bag and open up our bottom corners like that. Line up your center seams. and I put a clip on the very bottom. Now you can draw a line across here just to make sure your stitching is straight, but I'm just going to keep that edge against where I know it needs to be. Now I also stitch another row just on the inside of that, just as a reinforcing stitch. See, like that. So it just takes the pressure off the first seam. And again, get your hand in there, flatten out that and line up your seams at the bottom like that. Always dropping these things. Did I catch it? Yes, I did. Okay, one at each side. And I find it easier to sew from the inside. It seems to sit flatter, so we're just going to sew along there. And again, do our second reinforcing row. So that is our actual structure of our bag all finished. You can go and press that down. I'm using vinyl, so it's a little bit difficult, but I'm going to go and use a seam roller and try and flatten that out nicely. The flatter that seam is, it does make a difference to the finished bag when it's finished. So I'll do that in a minute. So now I'm going to carry on with my lining, and I'm going to do a zip pocket in my lining as well. And I'm also going to do a slip phone pocket. So I shall fold that in half and crease it, not that this creases very well. That's my centre point. Again, 3mm double-sided tape on the back of my zipper. This is quite a small zipper overlay. I prefer them a little bit finer on the inside. Sometimes I'll use a number 3 zip on the inside, but I have got this denim zip. Well, it's not denim. I call it denim. It's on my website, and I thought it just matched that really cool. So I'm going to use that. So it's number 5. So again, I'm going to stitch around the outside of that. And again, trim out the centre. This is like a strange waterproof canvas. It does fray, and it's kind of got a definite waterproof backing on the back of it. But I thought with these colours, this bag would be cool as a beach bag actually, so I thought, I'm just going to waterproof it. Watch, you don't get your vinyl when you're doing this, or your outer layer. It's all done. Put that aside while we do our pocket. And again, right side up. And I've gone the other way with my stripes this time. This zip's not quite long enough. Never mind. and my machine doesn't really like sewing cotton. Right side together again, or wrong side of the zip to the right side. So you've got your zipper linings together and your zip right side up. Line up the edges of your pocket. And again, sew down the end. I try to go to at about a scant 1/4 inch. And again, I'm going to just my interfacing is not quite as tall as the pocket. Okay, so that's the inside of the pocket, and again, that's the outside. So we're going to put double-sided tape just over our seam at the back. Take one off. So I want it closing to the left. So I want to have that up the right way and centered in the pocket. Oops, it's a little bit close. We'll try that again, shall we? Okay, hold that up there. And again, we're going to stitch around the middle. Back over the middle. You've got to make sure your lining is out at the side too. Right, turn it over, bring the bottom down, trim the bottom of the pocket, lift that back so that you can again stitch around the whole pocket to enclose it. I need a new light. And that is our zipper pocket on the inside. So now we're going to do our slip pocket. Now I usually do these just under, I usually about 34 centimeters because it's an average length of a phone and it's good to have a separate pocket. Now I am using the waterproof because it's a little bit thicker. So I'm going to line up my tops. And I've got a strip and I'm going to put that as a cap. Now I've gone with 3/4 because I wanted to have a little bit of the picture. So I'm just going to sew down the edge of those at about a 6 mil or 1/4 inch. Right, got a bit close there, might do that again. So we'll just turn that through. I'm not going to snip those ends, I'm going to fold it like that and just push it through. And that should give you a nice turn. Just push that out. If I'm using cotton, I usually give this a good press or a good iron. Just going to baste along the top. Which bit do I want on the front? Maybe I'll put the little double-sided tape down the middle. You can see I'm keeping it away from the edges so that I'm not sewing over it. And I want, anywhere about there. So I'm putting that on there so it's just less than halfway. Because then when we fold it over, like that, it's going to have a bit of a fold, room to fold at the top. Then we're going to just stitch down the edge there, just a couple of mil into the actual trim. Now don't bring your stitching past the trim because we're going to do that. And obviously if it goes past it, you cut your stitching off. Now I hate wasting stuff. I'm sure I could do something with those pieces. Right, so that's our pocket trim for the inside of our pocket. So here's our centre. Fold that in half. Fold this in half. All right. Just see my marks, and I like to bring it down about 1.5 to 2 inches from the top. Just double check. That's fine. Okay, my ruler's on the ground now. So I'm actually going to stick some pins in this. And for those who enjoy the Kiwi language, because apparently we say our pins incorrectly, I'm sticking some pins in it. Right, so now I'm going to sew down there along the bottom and back up. Make sure you double back well at the top on both sides. This tends to and that is our slip phone pocket. Yep. Plenty of room for a phone, separate to the bag, and the double layer of that gives it a bit of protection. So that's our linings all prepared. Now we put those again right side together like our exterior. But we want to leave a gap in the bottom. So I'm going to sew a little bit at this side and a little bit at that side, but leave a gap. We want to make 2 marks, one at 1 inch and one at 2 inch. I don't know if you can see those, but I can just see them at 1 and 2. So what we need to do is sew with our allotted seam allowance down to the 1 mark and then go inwards until we're at the next allotted seam allowance at the 2 and continue at that. Now some people go down here and join this together. Personally, that doesn't work for me. It does my head in. So I know it works for some, so if that works for you, by all means do that. What they do here is backstitch and then just join that up and keep sewing. So you'll see my seams are smaller here than they are there. I've gone in and down like we're supposed to there. So now what we want to do is do the same again with our corners. And I'm going to box those or butterfly them as well, so both of those seams are open and even. There's your clip there. And clip at the sides. And again, we can either draw a line, or if you're feeling confident enough, just sew along the bottom at the allotted amount. So that both of your seams are butterflied like that. Do the other side. Okay. So that is our lining all complete. And our exterior all complete. So I'm going to write a note in my bag. I'm going to write it on the pocket. Made with love by Jill 2024. Now I'm hoping you can't see that through the pocket. So I saw this, people signing their bags. I think it's amazing. I'm going to keep doing it. So you want to keep our bag the right side up. Put our straps inside. Now what I have done is I have taped open with fabric tape my seams. Now this is an electrician's fabric tape. I don't know if I can get any more. If you use something like this, don't put it where it gets in your seam because it clogs up your needle nasty. But I'm just trying in an effort to keep my seams open. I'm going to try that anyway. Now I am turning my lining in the right way. I have seam rolled seams. And I want my zipper pocket at the back, so I'm going to line it up with the zipper pocket inside. Line up my side seams. And my side seam around that side. And make sure my seams are open. Then I'm just going to work my way around that. So I'm just going to work my way around that. And I'm going to sew from the inside, so I don't know why I'm putting them on that way. Now you can mark your centres, and that's probably a good way of doing it. This pattern fits so perfectly as long as your seam allowances are correct. I've never had to line up my centres because it just seems to fit. And now we're going to sew around, all the way around, and I'm going to sew that from the inside like that. Make sure your straps are level. Now don't trim off your extended bits of strap. They're there for a reason. So that's pretty much our bag finished, or nearly. So now we want to pull our lining up, get our hand inside, push our corners down, and just gently work it out. Now it's not a hard turn by any means, but still be careful. Don't be too rough with it. Now I could have turned this through my pocket and not had a turn that join in the bottom, but I decided just to stick with how the pattern is closed. So that seam stays open with that tape on it, as you can see, which is quite cool, because we're going to put that back in place. Push our corners out. If we've made everything properly, that should line up perfectly, and so should that. It would have looked better if I had my extra inch on the top, because it's not quite in proportion, but that's okay. So roll that down nicely, and I'm going to stitch from the inside, but I'm going to turn the bag inside out. So take the whole bag and turn it inside out. Now if you're on a cylinder arm, obviously you don't need to do this because you can do it perfectly from the other way. But the reason I'm doing this is so I can stitch from the inside. So as you can see, I'm pulling the back down ever so slightly. These clips don't hold it perfectly in place. They're not strong enough, but they do keep it in place enough to help. So now we're going to top stitch around the top from the inside, and I'm going to start on one edge or one corner and top stitch around there. Now I like to top stitch between 1/4 and 1/8 of an inch, but it really depends on what you prefer. So just to go with that, I'm putting my stitch up to just on a 5. And make sure your straps are out. So while this is out, my inside lining at the bottom as well. So I actually bring a clip right into this end. And the reason I do this is I try and sew as close as I can to each seam, because then it looks like it's more purposeful and that it's not just a closing seam. Put my top stitch or my stitch back down from top stitch. crease up my vinyl too much. So that is my Tuesday tote. I think that's really cool. So inside I've got my zipper pocket in my front phone pocket. The lining fits nice and snug. And on the back, I've got my stripy zipper pocket. So that's it, all done.